In his first major speech as new Attorney General, Jeff Sessions has signaled that he is largely in agreement with Donald Trump on his rhetoric about crime and what he thinks needs to be done to solve crime. And he also gave us reason to believe that there might be a major ramping up of federal interference in marijuana legalization efforts around the country. We've got a couple of different sections. We're going to start off with his comments about marijuana. Here is Jeff Sessions.
My view is that crime does follow drugs. In the 70s and 80s, we saw so many lives destroyed by drug abuse. And I think the drugs today are more powerful, they're more addictive, and they can destroy even more lives. Young people have their lives destroyed. I, as you know, am dubious about marijuana. If states, can pass whatever laws they choose, but I'm not sure we're going to be a better, healthier nation than if we have marijuana being sold at every corner grocery store.
So there's a lot to break down there. I mean, I would assume that if you are a marijuana legalization activist, or if you are one of the politicians that supports marijuana legalization in a state that has done it, hearing states can pass whatever laws they choose is probably not what you want to hear.
Exactly.
That doesn't indicate to me a great deal of respect for states' rights in this particular area.
So Sean Spicer has already, I wouldn't even say hinted, has already just straight up said that the Trump administration is planning on going after recreational marijuana, or at least states that have legalized recreational marijuana, but they plan on leaving medicinal marijuana alone. And that statement was made nearly at the same time that they decided to grant private prisons federal contracts, okay?
Yeah.
So that's
Might be
big
some link
business.
there. We should look into it.
Huge link.
Might
In fact, private prisons didn't really start, to succeed in their business until the 1980s. 1984 is when private prisons really started to explode, and that was because the war on drugs was amplified and more pot users were being imprisoned. Okay, and so these savvy businessmen realized, oh, well, this could be big business for us. Let's just build these prisons so we can house these inmates. And so in the beginning of that statement, Sessions said that marijuana has ruined so many lives in the 80s and 90s, or whatever, time period he gave. Yeah, marijuana did, well, not marijuana, but the issue of marijuana did ruin the lives of many people and continues to ruin the lives of many people because of individuals like you who imprison them for using a plant that you can't even overdose on. So he's like tripping out about the idea of supermarkets selling marijuana, which, by the way, isn't happening and probably won't happen anytime soon if it ever happens. But you know what they do sell at supermarkets? Alcohol, which a lot of people do overdose on or drink too much of and do die from every single year.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to say, oh, I want you to think of a substance that has ruined families, alcohol is pretty high up on that list. If you're talking about like what would make us a healthy country, I mean, all of those corner grocery stores, there are a lot of grocery stores and corners. Anyway, that he's worried you're going to sell marijuana, they almost universally sell cigarettes.
Yep.
I've heard that's bad for your health. Now, look, we can have a discussion as a country about what it is that's healthy, but it seems a little bit odd if we're going to try to restrict something like marijuana when you can drink a gallon of vodka if you want to, if you can smoke 50 cigarettes a day if you want to. That seems a bit inconsistent.
Yeah,
there might be a reason for that. Again, something we should look into. But anyway, he goes on a little bit more because, of course, there are other arguments for marijuana legalization beyond just we're fucking adults and we should be able to consume what we want. There's others as well. And so one has to do with the link between increased availability of marijuana and making it easier for those who previously would have or were in the process of abusing opioids. So let's hear what Sessions thinks about that.
I'd see a line in the Washington Post today that I remember from the 80s. This one was, if you smoke, marijuana is a cure for opiate abuse. Give me a break. I mean, this is the kind of argument that has been made out there, to just almost a desperate attempt to defend the harmlessness of marijuana or even its benefits. I doubt that's true. Maybe science will prove I'm wrong, but at this point in time, you and I have a responsibility to use our best judgment, that which we've learned over a period of years, and speak truth as best we can. My best view is that we don't need to be legalizing marijuana.
It's also not up to you.
That is so insane. marijuana is used as a painkiller for a lot of people who have been diagnosed with cancer. And it does alleviate the pain, also helps them with their appetite. Treatments like chemo, for instance, destroy your appetite, and a lot of people lose weight as a result of that. So marijuana helps to mitigate the impact of chemo, and also, again, helps them deal with the pain. And also, again, for the billionth time on this show, you can't die ever from smoking too much marijuana or eating too much marijuana or consuming too much marijuana. But you can absolutely die from overdosing on opioids. You can absolutely get chemically addicted to opioids to the point where if opioids are no longer available to you, you're so desperate for it that you'll go to a black market and literally start shooting up heroin, which is an epidemic that this country is dealing with right now. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to smoke Jeff Sessions out. He's never used marijuana, okay? And he thinks that it's like, he watched way too many of those Reefer Madness, PSAs. And
When he was
just
younger,
like,
when he was 50.
That marijuana is real scary. We should all be worried about the marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna do the marijuana, and then all of a sudden you're gonna do the meth, and then all of a sudden you're gonna die. No, let me smoke you out. Your life will be changed forever. Okay? Hopefully you'll get a little smarter. Maybe you'll activate parts of your brain that you've never activated before.
Whether there is a link between increased availability of marijuana and decreases in opioid abuse is not something now, thanks to marijuana legalization efforts, that is purely up to your opinion.
Yeah.
We have data on it. Now, I'm going to jump ahead to graphic 16A, Jesus. This is a quote from the marijuana majority chairman who says, several studies have already shown that states with legal marijuana access see reduced opioid problems. If the Attorney General really cares about public health and safety, he'll stop relying on alternative facts. This administration should respect science and, at the very least, needs to uphold the president's repeated campaign pledges to respect state cannabis laws. Those studies are out there. We do have this, the experiments of the states. We can now look at differential outcomes based on different variables, and one of those is access to marijuana at the medical and at the recreational level. And this is not up to him to decide, but unfortunately, we have put him in charge of enforcing it. And so it is entirely possible that there will be more raids against dispensaries, more people locked up, shoved into for-profit prisons because of people like Jeff Sessions and his ideology on drugs, which isn't even from the 80s, it's from the 60s or the 70s.
Support independent media and get the whole Young Turks 2-hour show and other network shows all ad-free. TYTnetwork.com/join. Come join us today.